Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our exclusive Tech Central webinar in partnership with Obsidian Systems and Atlassian. My name is Siobhan Omani, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. It's thrilled to have you with us as we delve into the essential practices that can truly elevate your IT service management or ITSM game. Before we dive into the discussion, I'd like to introduce our esteemed guest speakers who bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to this conversation. First, we have Nick Holstock at Obsidian Systems. Nick, could you please take a moment to introduce yourself and share a bit about your experience in the IT?
Morning, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Nick Holstock. I'm the team lead for Atlassian at Obsidian Systems. I've been heavily involved in ITSM and the Atlassian space for close to 10 years now. My focus has been helping organizations leverage the Atlassian suite of tools to transform their service management practices. Throughout my career, I've had the opportunity to work with teams across various industries, locally and in the UK and the US, and that's in assisting them to build and optimize workflows, improve collaboration, and obviously drive greater efficiency through ITSM. Look forward to sharing some of the insights with you today.
Thanks so much, Nick. And joining Nick, we have Jean-Marie Hamann, Chief Operating Officer at Obsidian Systems. Jean-Marie, we're eager to hear your perspective. Could you tell us a little bit about your background and how ITSM has played a role?
Hi, everybody. I'm Jean-Marie. I have been in the ITSM space, like Nick, close to 10 years. I've worked with Atlassian products also close to 10 years. My focus is very much ITSM and implementing that for ourselves and for customers. Along with that, I'm also ITIL certified. I love the service desk space and just helping drive processes and improvements and streamlining everything to make life better for everybody.
Thanks so much, Jean-Marie. It's great to have you here with us this morning. Nick, let's set the stage. Could you give us a general overview of IT service management, including its journey from traditional help desks to the modern service management frameworks we see today, and explain its significance in today's digital landscape?
Sure. IT service management, or ITSM, as you want to call it, it's fundamentally how organizations manage the end-to-end delivery of IT services to their customers. It encompasses all the various processes and activities involved in designing, creating, delivering, supporting, and managing IT services. The core idea behind ITSM is to ensure that the right processes and people and technology are in place so that an organization can meet its business goals. ITSM has evolved over the years. Traditionally, ITSM was just often a help desk or an IT support desk, with the primary focus of being responsible for incidents and resolving user issues. Often service desks were just a single cost center, and they added very little strategic value to any organization. But now, as the years have moved on, and with the role of technology, the ITSM process has changed. And with this change, it has evolved from more of a reactive function to a proactive function. This was driven basically by the need for a more robust framework within complex IT environments, which helps with forcing compliance and aligning IT services with the various business needs. Modern ITSM frameworks like ITIL came along and introduced a more structured approach with a focus on continuous improvements and the alignment of services with the needs of the business. These frameworks have now shifted with the perception of ITSM from a cost center to an enabler of business agility and digital transformation. I do come from an Atlassian background, but when we talk about ITSM in today's digital landscape, I like to look at tools like Jira Service Management. I believe it's one of the tools at the forefront of ITSM. Jira is built fully on the principles of ITIL, but it's also been designed to be very flexible. So it allows you as a customer to basically customize workflows, automation rules, absolutely everything to do with ITIL and IT service management. Jira Service Management brings together the Atlassian suite. So you have Jira Service Management, Jira Software, Confluence, Bitbucket. So under one umbrella, under one platform, you can host a full ITSM service.
Fantastic. Thanks, Nick. And Jean-Marie, building on that, how could an organization benefit from implementing ITSM? Could you share some specific examples?
So there's definitely a big benefit for implementing ITSM. One of the biggest things that I have noticed is just the way processes have been streamlined from the past to what it is now, and just the visibility of work and the co-collaboration around it, because all of a sudden, no one is working in silos anymore. Everything is visible to everybody, whether it is the normal support that is coming in or change management that needs to happen. Everything is just visible. One of our big insurance companies have rolled out ITSM specifically from an ITIL framework. And what they did is they tackled change management first. And they tackled change management along with the normal service management that they did. And just to see how easily it was to put that entire process in, go back and forth automatically. So a lot of automation happening between whether it is approved and then it's signed off. And then there's integrations into other applications to when the change happens, it updates the tickets automatically. So there's a lot of human time that is no longer spent and they can do other things. And it's easy to see when there is an error, why there was an error. So you have this nice little dashboard that pops up to say, these are the hotspots that you keep on having issues with, okay? So you can be very much proactive and investigate, why are these things that keep on having issues around it? And on, seeing invisibility, you have nice views to see, hey, who is working on what? Why is this person dealing with so many support issues, okay? And the rest of the team is not. Are they just a lot quicker in responding? What is the situation on that? Do we need to maybe streamline it out, give them more time to do other things? And the best thing for me is just SLA tracking around that. So knowing when a request comes in, whether it is anything at any time of the day, okay, that it actually happens, and there's escalation processes around it. So no longer does it just sits in someone's mailbox and everybody's just like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know when it's going to happen. Follow up. Immediately there is like an SLA attached to it. It's running. We escalate to the management if it's necessary. And, we're getting back to you soon. And then on top of that, there's immediate user satisfaction. You can rate the quality of service you had, as in frowny face, happy face, neutral face, what's going on. So it really is, it's immediate. Are we doing great? Are we not? What do we need to improve?
Thanks, Jean-Marie. I think those benefits are definitely clear. And Nick, when we talk about a robust ITSM framework, there are several critical components that are typically involved. Could you perhaps elaborate on these key elements, such as incident management, problem management, change management, service request management, and even knowledge management?
Yes, so ITSM needs all of those different busy levels. Jira Service Management is a well-known product of having these built in. So what a user does is they have there's a customer portal. They can log in, and depending on what they need to log, you can log incidents, you can log change requests, you can log service requests, you can ask for help. All of these are linked then to the Jira Service Management backend, where agents would manage those incoming tickets. Those incoming tickets can then be linked to a business team, development team, or whichever team. It could be HR, it could be marketing, it could be whichever team that's impacted. It's all real-time updates and communication. So everything that gets done via the agent will automatically send out emails. It will update the customer portal. Also within Jira Service Management itself, you get a change calendar. So that kind of gives you your roadmap of changes coming up. It also shows you if you go into a specific ticket to say there's this change that's busy happening in a week's time. It highlights any other changes that are similar or changes that could be impacted. You can log maintenance windows, infrastructure, busy windows, whatever it may be, and those all show up in your change calendar. Along with that, you have a product called Confluence, and that's your knowledge repository, if you want to call it that. And what happens is when a user goes onto the customer portal and starts typing in or trying to log an incident or a change or whatever it may be, it will auto suggest any self-help capabilities. So I'm saying I need help with a password reset. Instead of logging the actual the ticket, it will allow the user to rather go and view an article on Confluence as to how to resolve the issue themselves. Sorry. And yeah, so that's the key component to change release and incident management.
So I will continue from there on. Every organization faces a lot of challenges when adopting the ITSM practices. And there are some common pitfalls and obstacles that people encounter all the time during implementation of the ITSM. So what we've found, most of these things are just, it's lack of executive buy-in. Let's just face it, no one likes change. And then you are asking executives, hey, you need to change an entire system of how you used to work along with all the processes around it. And we know when that happens, it's like a month to 2 months of work being slowed down because it's a new adoption that needs to happen. So you kind of, you lose a lot of work time and efficiency to what you were. And a lot of the times it's inadequate planning. So we think we're ready to roll out, and then we're not ready to roll out, and we need to go back to the whiteboard. And it's just the biggest factor for this, just the obstacles it's change, is people do not like to change. And I think a lot of the times it is previously what a service desk system used to look like. It was just so complex, and how everything is set up. And I'm going to say this, I think a lot of people have trauma from initially getting onto that process and using those systems. And you're like, oh, now we have to change again. And it was a lot of hard work the first time around. And now we need to take all that complexity again and put it into another system and, relearn everybody how to use that system and make it user friendly. And everybody just kind of kicks back. You're like, no, we don't want to do it. And then along with that is obviously the budget approvals that need to happen along with that. So making sure you can actually show return on investment when making the change is also a big thing. So when we talk to executives, we kind of lead with that to say, hey, this is what's going to happen, but you will in the long run see a big return on investment.
That's just so apt. It's almost like asking how long is a piece of string, but what is an average implementation of moving an ITSM system over?
There's a lot of things that you have to take into account. So are we taking in over old data or not, or are we leaving it on the old system? So a lot of the clients that we have worked with will leave it on the old system, and we decide we're going fresh. So clean slate. And then from there on, I've worked on implementations that take 6 months to 2 years, but that is, I'm talking about 10,000 users that need to be onboarded and trained and everything. But yeah, the biggest success we've had is from planning to migrating and getting everything implemented is about 6 months if it's a small to medium size enterprise. And then they're ready and running.
So, Jam, exactly what you said, the whole resistance to change and cost. But other things, like you said, are silo teams. So what often happens is there is tool overload. So you've got a multitude of tools within your organization. Each tool is doing its own separate function, which obviously causes silo teams, like you said. But with the likes of Atlassian, you've got Jira software for development teams, Bitbucket for CI/CD pipelines, Confluence for knowledge management, Jira service management for ITSM. So you've got everything on a single platform, which helps with collaboration. It helps visibility, real-time notifications and comms. And then what it also does is, which is key, it provides the right level of reporting. So what often happens is you want senior management buy-in, but you're not giving them the actual reporting that they need. So if with everything being on a single platform and with the right reporting and KPIs and all of that in place, it definitely helps with the buy-in of busy management. But then that is obviously very important, but then training is equally as important. including users and giving them ongoing training right from the beginning. So not just a once-off fundamentals type obviously training. There should be ongoing obviously training for users to feel obviously confident when this tool goes live and starts to getting used. Give them real user cases of issues that they actually can see why it is important to work the way that they are going to be obviously working, to see the benefit of integrating all these different tools into under one umbrella, and then obviously the reporting that they get out at a team level as well as a management level. So those are just some of the things that are also really important when it comes to looking at an ITSM tool.
Nick, I must say that integration points has been a big selling point from where we've implemented, because just the fact that you can integrate Confluence within your ITSM system, it's like, hey, the example that we use the most is how do I change my password? Because it's something that happens all the time. I need to be able to get into the VPN, and people will log a ticket for that. And it's like, hey, there's now a knowledge base article so you can assist yourself. Great.
Yeah.
And then on training, what we found is very helpful. Instead of just having generic training on, hey, this is how you use JSM or Confluence, we have dedicated training on how a department uses the specific project within Jira or within Confluence to say, this is why we work this way, this is the information that we need, and hey, if we put everything in like this is the reporting that we have. And then it's like a little domino effect, like everything just falls into place where people are like, oh cool, we understand, this is why we do it. And I remember the first time, which was one of the massive insurance companies, we moved over, I think it was from ServiceNow or something, to JSM, and I had to do a report for them, a BI report, and it took me like 5 minutes. And they're like, wow, was it really that easy? I'm like, yes, we have all the information. It's just a click, drag, drop, there you go. Yeah.
Exactly. Also on the training, so like you're saying by department, it's also nice if you do training on user roles. So as a project manager, this is how I should basically operate. As a scrum master, as an end user, you could have basically knowledge base articles or basically training videos. As a portfolio manager, whatever the roles are within the organization, have training to the specific roles. Because Jira, and I'm saying basically Jira, basically here, ITSM is huge. Then you've still got on top of that, you've got the ITSM product. So these products can be customized to do so many different things. And what often happens is companies buy these products and they only use a very small subset of the actual features that are available. So if you can do the right training up front, users, admins, execs, everyone will see very quickly the actual value that's offered by these different tools.
Nick, Jean-Marie, thank you both so much. I mean, that's fantastic. And I think you've given some great tips really around addressing some of the common challenges that organizations can also face when adopting ITSM practices. One of the other challenges perhaps is also resistance to change when implementing those new practices. So what strategies have you found effective, aside from what you've covered in terms of training and so forth, in managing that resistance and actually securing buy-in from all stakeholders, particularly perhaps more senior stakeholders in executive management?
So something we found that works very well is we do a bit of a workshop, and I don't mean like a 4-hour workshop. We spend 2 or 3 days with the necessary stakeholders, and we take one of their biggest pain points in something that is not working properly in the old system and what needs to happen within our ITSM framework. And we run that through whatever we need to do. And we talk about everything, is in what are the actual requirements from you guys, along with what is for your team members. What do you need? And we have found that is massively effective. So we will start off day one with gathering all the information and having the necessary conversations. And we've realized if we have everybody in one room or on one call, someone will start with, hey, this is my requirement, and someone else will pitch in to say, hey, but I also need this. And it becomes this massive collaboration session, which is actually so amazing just to get everybody there. And once that is sorted, we will do like a little demo of how we will implement it. And normally then on day 3, we play around. So stakeholders can play around on the system and they use it and they see how it works. And we have found if they see how easy it is to actually implement what they want, and especially if it's one of their biggest pain points and it actually works efficiently in the new system, then they're happy. And then we leave it up for a couple of days that they can still do a test run and see if they can change things themselves. And we found that to be very effective.
Fantastic, Jean-Marie, thank you so much. I also note that we've had a couple of comments from some of our participants in the webinar, so thank you so much to the audience, and please keep popping through those comments and those questions. Again, somebody noting that in their experience, resistance is always the issue. You know, people don't like change, so I think it's been very helpful just to hear some approaches from both yourself and Nick. One of the questions that we've actually received from our attendees, and perhaps we can just jump to address that, is how do Obsidian and Atlassian plan to integrate their ITSM solutions with other popular tools and platforms used in IT operations? And what strategies are in place to ensure seamless interoperability and data consistency across these integrations?
Atlassian has an online marketplace. I'm not sure if everyone's aware of that. On that marketplace, they've got integration and connectors for many of the other ITSM products. So an example would be integrating Remedy with Jira. So all of these are obviously there. From an Obsidian point of view, we obviously work closely with the customer. We help with that integration. We help with the support of that. And then we've obviously got Atlassian and our obviously contacts to help us should there be any need for support. There are, I mean, these add-ons and connectors have been used now for basically years. They're only improving basically weekly. As Obsidian, we've integrated many other ITSM solutions with basically Jira. So there's two-way sync for basically data. You set up rules on both of the basically products, depending on what the basic business needs basically are. But yes, so the Atlassian marketplace, if anyone hasn't looked at that yet, I would suggest going there to have a look. There's tens of thousands of useful basically add-ons, from integrators to dashboards, reporting, all kinds of things, testing tools. So it really expands. It takes the already powerful Atlassian suite and just makes it even better.
Fantastic, Nick. Thank you so much. I think that's probably a good point also, just to jump into my next question for you, which is really around the criteria for selecting the right ITSM solution. You know, there's so many ITSM solutions on the market, so it can be quite overwhelming, I imagine, to choose the right one. What are some of the key considerations, Nick, that organizations should keep in mind, particularly regarding things like scalability, flexibility, customization options, integration capabilities, really, and anything else that you can perhaps give some guidance on when making this decision?
Yes, definitely. So scalability, yep, that's obviously a big one. How easy can or must your solution scale up and down? You need to be able to not only look at your organization as it currently stands, but what it's going to look like in the future, what that growth kind of model looks like. Scalability, you should also be basically looking at number of users that are currently using the business product and the different services. Look at things like the volume of your change requests, or sorry, basically incidents, changes, whatever it might be. Also, think of example, Jira service management, cloud-based now. I'm not talking about basically data center. I'm talking about basically cloud. Extremely scalable. You can adjust your basic resources as and when basically needed without any infrastructure changes. So there's definitely the scalability aspect that you've got to take into consideration. Flexibility, yes, you need to basically look at what are the various basic options for deployment. So are you wanting to be on premise, on cloud, or basically hybrid? And then, yeah, that's obviously a basic big one. Jira service management, you've got the basic options to go with Jira basic data center. You've got the option to go with Jira basic cloud. So it really gives you that basic flexibility in how you would like your environment hosted or your basic platform basic hosted. The other one was customization. you need to be able to customize. You don't want something that you can't. Something to do with Jira service management, you'll see I go through that a lot, is you want to be able to create your own customizable workflows with different with steps within your basic workflow that you can approve something or reject something. Fields, you want customized basic fields. You want the customers to be able to add certain fields on the customer portal, but then the agent to be able to access this basic different fields. Forms, the user interface, you need to look at the user basic interface. Is it easily understood? Is it basic cumbersome? All of those kind of different things. One of the other very important basic features is basic reporting and dashboards. Does it give you the metrics that you actually need? So, example again, Jira gives you out of the box reporting, it gives you custom reporting, and you can create dashboards at a team level, in the individual level, exec level. You can create a multitude of dashboards. Then also with that comes along now. Basic Jira is bringing in AI, or they brought in AI. So now you can start using AI in your in Basic Jira as well as Confluence. So all of these things make it highly customizable. Yes, a lot of the other tools also do the same kind of basic thing, but from my experience, Jira Service Management is great for customization. Integration, we've spoken about basically that. Does the product offer consideration to things like APIs, connectors, marketplace add-ons? You need to think of all of that because you may not need it now, but 6 months or 2 years down the basic line, does the tool cater for that? User experience, we've spoken about basically that. Is the interface something easy to basically work with? Not just from the user's basic point of view, or the end basic user's basic point of view, but also from your internal basic users, your execs. Is it giving them what they need to see? Is it hard to basically navigate? Because obviously a tool that's hard to navigate, there'll be a lot more resistance. Then other things I would consider is the support and possibly even the vendor community out there. So Atlassian, as an example, has a very large Atlassian community. And on there, they offer things like resource-based documentation, there's forums, you can post basic questions, obviously there's basic partners also within basic SA that help with that, but there are basic forums. So if you want to go read up on past basic questions or go and ask a question, that's basically there. And the response time is really good. So those are the types of things that you want to know that's available. And then, yes, there's cost and value, which we've spoken about. I think it's key that the execs are involved in this process right from the start. And right from the start, show them metrics, show them things that are going to keep them interested. Because if they don't have that, then they're going to lose interest. And then obviously you lose that exec buy-in. So the sooner you can start adding metrics and reporting, the better.
Nick, thank you so much. You've touched on, I think, a number of points that I'd like to pick up on, and that also some of our attendees have also picked on and thrown some questions out on. So perhaps just to take you back to the dashboards and the reporting, one of the questions from one of our participants is whether there are dashboards that display data that combines all the various tools, and perhaps that break down the information that is important for each division.
So example would be, so you've got, okay, I'm going to talk to Atlassian. You've got Jira, which basically covers Jira Service Management and Jira software. So yes, you can have a dashboard that talks to all your busy incidents, and then within those incidents, all the Jira software dev work or bugs or whatever it is that's been basically logged. So yes, you can group all of those within a single basic dashboard. You can look at time logs, you can look at statuses, how long an issue's been in a certain status. There's all kinds of things that you can group on a dashboard. Obviously, Confluence itself is just your basic wiki, or it's not just a basic wiki, it's a very powerful basic wiki. But so I'm talking more to Jira. Also within Jira software, I'm jumping a bit from ITSM now over to Jira software. There's something called advanced roadmaps, which is very much for portfolio planning. So what you do is you get your very high level strategic goals, if I can call them that, within your organization. And underneath that, it breaks them down into the different tickets. that make up that goal. So you can have all the different tasks. I don't want to go into the technical bit of detail of the types of tasks because every company uses different naming conventions, but you could have a multitude of tasks or activities that all roll up to that goal. And that's also, again, that's in a Gantt chart basically report, which gives you things like capacity planning, dependency mapping, all of basically that. So there are different ways in which you can report. From a dashboard point of view, you can show there's a whole lot of various gadgets that come out of the box, things like two-dimensional basic columns, pie charts, all kinds of things. Then again, also on Marketplace, basic gadgets that you can add, and that gives you different basic views. So dynamic drop down. So on the actual dashboard itself, if you've showing all projects by basic default and their basic incidents or bugs, whatever it may basically be, you can go through the drop down and go, actually, I only want to see for this basic project or for this basic user. And then it automatically updates those basic dashboards.
I would like to add to that. Sorry.
Please, Jean-Marie, thank you. Please.
Because I see there's a question that asks on the data side, our closest to real-time data. So in Jira itself, it's real-time, as in there's like no delay. If something happens, you show it on the dashboard. For some of our other clients, we use BI tools, something like Power BI or Easy BI to extract data out of Jira within those systems, and that you can set. So the quickest we normally do is every 10 minutes, it pulls information in. And within that, it's not just ITSM data. So there we specifically for us and some of our other people that we've done, we have Jira data within there. So how we're working on service requests and things like that, along with the assets that we use in there. We can pull that information in there as well. And one of our accounting systems is linked in there as well, because APIs rule the world along with Excel. So as Nick said, if there isn't a built-in integrator, there is always APIs. So, and it just pulls the information in and you have a very nice consolidated view of what is happening within each system on one single dashboard. And then what is nice within Confluence, you can pull your Jira information in, you can pull your BI information in, and you have one dedicated page to say, hey, this is what's going on with hardware, getting new hardware, what is expiring soon, do we have the budget to buy everybody new laptops, what's going on? So yeah, it's really powerful.
Thanks, Jean-Marie. Absolutely. I mean, I think what you've touched on in terms of that broader reporting capability, if you're able to integrate in the rest of those views, is incredibly powerful, not just for the IT space as such in terms of their management, but the rest of the organization, capacity planning, you talked finance and so forth. And then Jean-Marie, just to pick up on another point that Nick mentioned, Nick referred to vendor support and the community support. So just from a practical standpoint, how do you evaluate the user-friendliness and vendor support of ITSM platforms?
So we need to make sure that the interface is very easy to use and kind of self-explanatory. So talking specifically about JSM, when you log in for the first time, that's this nice little walkthrough, like in which team are you and what are you going to do? And it takes you through the basic steps of what needs to happen to create a support ticket and all of that. So it's how easy it is to use. It's if you go, is it self-explanatory? Will they know? And the big thing for us is sometimes a process is exceptionally difficult with a lot of steps. And it's how does that translate into the system and how easy is it to take a specific piece of work through that workflow? So if we know that is easy, then it's great, especially something like approval processes. Do I need to enter every single person that needs to approve this request myself, or is this something that can happen automatically? Automatically is always the way to go. So that really is a big thing for me. And how customizable the system is. Some of the clients, or if you tell them you can change your own workflow and in your process, they're like, excuse me, what? And you're like, yes, you don't need a developer. You can do it yourself within 5 minutes. And they're like, okay, that's cool. But what if we break something? I'm like, no. We save it as a new file so that we don't overwrite anything else. And it's been fun seeing that within an organization, how they learn and pick that up and just start running with it themselves. And they're like, hey, this thing doesn't work. Why is it not working? And then, some hands-on training on, okay, this is what we need to do. So instead of just having 2 or 3 people supporting the ITSM system, you now have a group, and each person can be responsible for their own project within Jira or JSM at least. And then for me, the other thing that's a big thing is normally accessibility, because we're not always in front of our laptops. So the first question is always, can we do this on our phones? We want to have the approval button on our phone. That's normally like the biggest thing for management. So yeah, so is there mobile support? And yes, there is. So that's a big thing as well. Then from vendor support, it's knowledge base for us along with community support. So it has been so great having a community where you go, we have this problem, and then other people, we have the same problem, and this is kind of what we've done, and you can feed off each other. And it's not just within the Atlassian community itself, it is their partners as well. So as Nick mentioned, the marketplace with all the additional add-ons, they also have community spaces where you work. And then it is, what does the knowledge bases look like? Is it decent? Can we use that? Does it give us the correct information to get started without necessarily hiring someone else to do that work? And so that really is a big thing, like that getting started. Is all the information there. And another big thing for us is, if there's bugs, how long does it take to actually solve? Because we have had it where we occasionally do weird things, okay, where we try to automate things out of Active Directory into the system to do automatic, what was it? I can't even remember, approvals for managers, so no one has to type information in. And we're like, hey, this specific thing doesn't work. Like, it was an update function, and we locked the call. That wasn't even with Atlassian, it was one of their partners. And like, we didn't even know it doesn't work. And they solved it for us within a week. They put it into their backlog. It was there. And it solved the problem for us. Atlassian is very nice. If there isn't a problem, if there is a new feature request, you can go vote on it. So you will see the entire community will be able to go, hey, this is something that we want. Please vote for it. And if there's enough votes, they consider it and they add it into the backlog. So for me, it's nice from a customer point of view, because it's never just, hey, what can the partners do? You as a customer, you can chat to them as well. You can add your input on what new features get released. And then from a support point of view, how responsive are they? And that's a big thing, because if you have a priority one that needs to get solved, you need all hands on deck. And I must say, so far, it has been really great being able to say, hey, this is a P1, we need support, we need it now. And that there really is all hands on deck. So yeah.
Fantastic, Jean-Marie, thank you so much. I think also just that additional tip that you mentioned around actually being able to sort of drive perhaps some of the product features and the development and the actual development roadmap is pretty powerful for organizations then who do choose to use the product. And we're jumping around a little bit, but I think we've got some fantastic questions from our participants. So I just want to move on to one of those again. Jean-Marie, you briefly mentioned when you were chatting about the reporting and sort of BI capabilities, a little bit about asset management tool. And I think there's perhaps a question just for clarity on that's come through. And that is, does the system have its own asset management tool? And if yes, do the incidents link to them? And if no, does the system integrate with third-party asset management tools?
So yes, the system does have its own built-in asset management tool that is rather powerful. And it's not just used for assets, but yeah. And it also links to your issues as well. So what is really nice, you can have all your information within the asset, who it belongs to, what is the operating system running on it, IP addresses and all of that. And when the support call comes in, if it's linked to my, for instance, if I log the support call, I can see all the assets linked to myself and I can choose which one is the problem. And support request is created, the agent picks it up, and they can see all the additional information of what operating system am I running, what is my IP address? What are all the drivers that is needed in there? So it is very powerful. And then you have the additional reporting on that as well to say, for this specific asset, this is all the linked tickets to it, and this is the current status. So you can immediately also pick up if an asset is giving a lot of errors. Why is it giving a lot of errors? And that ties back into incident management as well, because within the ITSM space, there's something called Ops Genie, which handles incident management and standby and all of that. So when you pull that information in, it also picks up the assets. So you can immediately see what is going on, what is the SLA of that asset. So it really is powerful. The other thing we use it for is we use it for a CRM. So completely different. It's the assets. They call it the assets database, but you can use it for something else. So we use it for CRM, we use it for our certifications, because it really is just information you can pull out of a database natively within JSM and use it in Jira itself. So, yeah.
Fantastic, Jean-Marie. Thank you. Nick, is there anything you want to add to that at this stage?
No, I think Jean-Marie summed it up very well.
Fantastic. In that case, Nick, I've got another question for you, so you're not quite off the hook. But you mentioned also a little bit about metrics and the importance of metrics, particularly in terms of reporting to executives, to retain buy-in and that sort of thing. So could you perhaps give it some guidance as to what perhaps some of the metrics or KPIs are that organizations firstly should be tracking to measure the success of their ITSM implementation, and then also how they can be used to perhaps drive that continuous improvement and buy-in?
First of all, within Atlassian, or within Jira itself, you can track, as long as the data is stored, you can track almost basically anything. If you're talking from an ITSM adoption point of view, I would have a full basic plan of basic rollouts, timelines, all of basically that. But just to clarify, are you referring to metrics around the tool itself or around the actual adoption?
Perhaps both. I think it'd be useful if we split it and chat a little bit about both.
Cool. Yeah, so from the basic tool itself, I would definitely have I would track basically everything from your comms, your change basic management, types of basic users that are impacted, types of basic training that's basically needed, training dates, and like when I say basic types of basic training, it's going to be basic customized basic training. Also, one other thing to mention is Atlassian has something called Atlassian University. So that offers both free and paid for basic trainings. It is online. So you could go there and pay for a basic type of basic training, be it JSM, there's training on ITSM, there's training on Jira software, Bitbucket, everything. So that's very useful. And like I said, there are some free ones in there as well. So I would track the different types of basic training. I would track the rollout dates, the phases in which you need to roll out, integrations. Sorry, I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. There's so many different things that you would basically track. But that is all something that I would have in a report or basically possibly stored on the likes of Confluence that would be updated by the different stakeholders or basically teams running with the onboarding of the basic project, and that could be circulated to basic management. Also within Confluence itself, you can create roadmap views. So it's not just a wordy document. You can see charts, you can see roadmaps, Gantt charts. So when management looks at it, it's a meaningful visual representation of the actual milestones versus where you are at the moment. So that's very much from an implementation, but from a Jira service management basic metrics point of view, like I said, the dash, so it comes with its own basic metrics out of the box, where you can obviously generate the types of basic incidents, time to resolve. You can set up SLAs, which also appears in those basic metrics. So there's all of those different things. Then you can also add custom metrics for whatever the teams need. So not necessarily organization, but the teams at a team basic level. And then your dashboard you can pull together, which is literally a snapshot, a real-time snapshot of everything going on. So you can have it down from ticket level and right up to P1s, P2s, who's basically working on it, any kind of reasons why a ticket or tickets are sitting in a certain status, which would be good for basically management or basically execs. Things like basically that. You could look at capacity. Why are teams sitting under utilized, over utilized? So all those are the different metrics that you can basically get. Like I said, if it's been stored within basically Jira, you can report on it.
Fantastic, Nick. Thank you so much. And then perhaps another question from our participants to both of you. You know, through the conversation, we've spoken quite a lot about integrations, the flexibility of the tools to be able to integrate more broadly with other systems and so forth. And then also around sort of the data and the reporting capabilities. So one of the questions is really can you talk a little bit about how the tool maybe handles security, and then specifically also the sort of various regulations that have now, you know, come about in terms of the data sharing and that sort of thing.
So Atlassian itself they have all the necessary certifications, so they're ISO certified and everything else that you need, and that information is locked down. So specifically for us in South Africa, you can choose where you store your information. So you can say it needs to be in the EU because EU regulations are compliant with South African regulations. So we're good to go there. So that's normally fine. We don't have problems. And Atlassian provides you with all of that information in case you get audited. We know that because I've had to submit that multiple times. That's the thing. Then within integrations, they will give you a little pop-up saying, hey, this is the information that we are sharing, but it is never personal information. So it is information that the system needs. And a lot of the time, it is not stored on another system. It is just reading information from the Atlassian instance and displaying it. So it is not stored somewhere else. It is still within the stack, but there is very tight controls around what goes out and how it's accessed. So it is pretty much locked down. It's not like user and password. You have to go through with API keys and bearer tokens. It is very, very secure. And then I see the other one is the sharing the data with clients as well. So sometimes there's integrations between two instances, or sometimes clients will log into another instance that is not necessarily their own. So we will lock it down so that the data that they see is only their own, because a lot of the times you deal with external vendors that need to be able to access the system, but they can't see other support queries. They just need to be able to see their own support queries. So what we need to have in place as well is a data protection agreement, which legal normally kicks off for us to make sure everybody is aware of what's going on and do the necessary checks that if there are breaches, this is what's going to happen. But the big thing is from a system side is making sure data is secure and you can only see what you need to see. So when we integrate on a very rare instance, both from a Jira to a Jira within our clients, we normally have a dedicated project that it's just that information that gets shared across. And it is because they work and we work, and what we do needs to update their system as well. And yeah, we just make sure that connection is very secure. And you can do that with just allowing certain IPs. So it's not anybody that can come in. It is secure connections around with secure passwords and strict control to data.
Jean-Marie, thank you so much. I think it's almost time for us to wrap up, but just perhaps one final question to both of you before we do so. And Nick, you spoke right at the start of this conversation about how the role of ITSM has evolved in recent years. And you've also spoken to things like the integration of sort of AI in Jira and so on. What are some of the biggest shifts, perhaps, that organizations need to make in their thinking and their approach to ITSM to stay ahead of this evolving landscape?
So from my side, it would obviously be look at your existing landscape, but how those functions are currently being performed. So does a user use Excel and then does he have to go and do this and that and that? But or is it ServiceNow and then users are having to go to another tool to write basic documentation, or how? So it's very much the integration of all these different tools within a single platform. So I would definitely think about your user base at the moment, because there are different basic products out there, some which cater for smaller teams, but not necessarily have all the built-in functionality that the likes of Jira basically has. But Jira allows you to scale up and down. So definitely consider how your organization is moving forward, the growth within the next few years. It's literally a matter of clicking a button to change your basic licensing within Jira. So you can say we're moving from 15 users monthly, or we're going to now actually want to go basic annually. Like I said, you've got all your basic products within one basic billing basic page. So it's definitely look at the ease of use to administer and manage all these various tech products. Think of how you want your organization to basically communicate, not work in basic silos. If you feel that there's any possibility of silos, think of how these basic products are being basically used. Are they siloed products? And maybe you need to look at as you mentioned, a single basic platform. And then, just the growth of the basic product and the basic training of it, and see what makes things easier for basic users.
Nick, thank you so much. Jean-Marie, any final thoughts from yourself?
I think Nick summed that up very, very nicely.
Fantastic. Thank you both so much. We've really covered a lot of ground today, from understanding the fundamentals of ITSM to then exploring some of the best practices and solutions that can drive success. So Nick and Jean-Marie, thank you again so much for sharing your valuable insights and expertise. And thank you, of course, to our audience members who were able to join us live today. I'd also like to remind our attendees that the recording of this webinar will be available on TechCentral's website, along with additional resources on ITSM. So if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We look forward to connecting with you again soon. Thank you.